We will be rigging a fuse character with the Mixamo armature in this video. We start with exactly the same process as in the last video where we rigged the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin. We delete everything in the scene, set the unit scale to 0.01, use the mouse wheel to pull back, N key, set the clipping distance to 50 meters so we can see what's happening. Now, if that was a little fast for you, you can check the other video on my channel. I go a lot slower in that one, but I'm just going to quickly go through the initial setup process. I'm going to do import FBX. I'm going to find the character that I want to bring in. This file, I got it back from the Mixamo service, right? So I created this character in FuseCC, sent it to Mixamo, and this is the FBX that I get back. Now it's important that when you import this, you turn off import animation, because this kind of messes up the process, and we'll talk about why. Secondly, in armatures, this armature will come in with extra bones at the end, so you want to ignore the leaf bones, and then we can import it, and now it is in the scene. The other thing that I need in here is the Unreal Engine mannequin. Now we need the mannequin to set the pose for our target character, so I'm just going to do File, Import, FBX, get to the mannequin file, and this time this default export from the Unreal Engine 4 does not have leaf bones on the end, so we don't want this, otherwise we'll cut off part of the character's armature, and we want automatic bone orientation. So import FBX, and we have an overlapping character, right? The third thing that we need is the meta rig. So I'm going to do Shift A, armature, human meta rig. I'm going to press the S key, type in 100, and then I'm going to hit enter. Then I will do Control A, and then I will select apply scale. Okay, and I'm going to confirm that the scale is in fact 111. The last thing that we need is the Uefy script, so I'm going to go into scripting, open, go to Uefy, select the script, open text block, then I will put the mouse on this bar here, use the mouse wheel to scroll to the end, and then do run script once, and then go back to the layout panel. Now I'm going to hide the meta rig, bring back the character, and bring back the mannequin. Now I can select the armature on the mannequin and do GY1. That'll bring it back by one grid line, just so we can see what's going on a little better. Alright, now I'm going to select the armature on the target character, like so, and I will go into the armature panels properties tab and scroll down, and there will be a Uefy script panel because we ran the script. Now let me just expand this. Okay, so this is the target character's armature, this is the UE4 mannequin's armature, and this is the meta rig. Okay, so these are all objects that you can see up here, and we have imported them all. So I just confirmed that these are accurate, and then I set the type to custom mapping. First of all, epic skeleton means that the target character, this one that you're working on, has exactly the same bone hierarchy as the UE4 mannequin, and also the same bone names. But if you have another character that has a compatible hierarchy but different bone names, then you can use a custom mapping, which is a dictionary in the script itself, to try and get this to work with that character. It doesn't always work. It's like you don't need to do some tweaking on this, but it does work for FuseCC characters, and I have this set by default to support FuseCC character posing. With the mapping selected, I can just do setup character bone names, which is a pre-process to help the script understand the armature it's working on, and then I can just do pose character. That will automatically update the pose of the character to match the UE4 mannequin. With that done, we no longer need the mannequin, so I'm going to hide the mannequin and bring in the meta rig. Now I'm going to select the meta rig and do S to scale, and just going to roughly match the shoulders to where they should be, and then I will do another Control A and then set the scale to apply scale to set the scale to 111. Now, unlike the previous video where we posed the meta rig for the Unreal Engine mannequin, we cannot just click this and have it automatically done for us. There are a few steps that we have to take before that, and because if you click on the armature for the target character, let me just hide the meta rig so we can see better. And I will also bring this to the front, so I'll just scroll up, go to display, and put the armature in front. Now, this armature has a rotation on it, so we need to get rid of this rotation to allow posing with the meta rig without problem. Now, to simplify this process, one thing I'm going to do is merge all of these separate meshes into one large mesh. So I'm going to select the bottom one first, and then another one, next one, and the last one. And then I will bring the cursor into the scene and do Control J, and that'll merge everything into a single mesh. At this point, we could tweak the pose to be a little bit better. So I'm going to press the 1 key on the numpad. I'm just going to drag this down so we have more room. Right? Press the 1 key on the numpad to get into the front perspective, 5 to go into orthographic view. Now, if we can scroll down here, you can see that the feet need a bit of adjustment. So I'm going to select the armature, go into pose mode, and select the bone, R to rotate, and I'm just going to rotate this into place like so. Then R to rotate again, press the Z key to lock Z axis, and then just going to slightly adjust it like so. Now, with the bone selected, I'm going to do Control C, and then I'm going to Shift Control V, and that'll fix the other side of the armature. Then I will press the 3 key to go into side view, and I will then select the B key for box select, and I will just box select this bone, but this time, both of these bones get selected because the box select just goes right through whatever you're looking at. So 3 key again, and then rotate, and I'm just going to rotate these feet into position. Then I will select the A key, select everything, G key to grab, Z to lock access, and then just bring it down to something a bit more reasonable. Control A to deselect everything. Okay, so one other thing that you can do is try and make the fingers a little bit better. Now you can see all these fingers are kind of wavy. Part of this is because the weight painting on this character is not particularly great. It's auto weight painted by Mixamo, and that usually requires a lot of tweaking. But the other problem is that this is an exact match for the epic mannequin, which should be a good thing, but not necessarily. As you can see, if I was to select on this armature and go into put this in front, you see these bones are actually kind of wavy themselves. So what you can do is, let me just hide this mannequin again. The rotation on the bottommost one is necessary, right, to point the finger in the correct direction. But these bones, I can just select all of them one by one, or box select them, and then I can do Alt R, and that kind of straightens them out a little bit. I could just do the same thing on the other side. This one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one, like so. Alt R, right? And there's really not much we can do for the thumb without really messing things up. So Alt A to deselect everything. The thing to understand here is that this pose is in pose mode only. So if I was to select the armature and then go into edit mode, you can see that the rest pose for this character is still a T pose. And we need to update this. And normally that would be really easy. You just go into pose mode, do Control A and select apply pose as rest pose. But we do that, we'll mess up the mesh. So in order to update the rest pose and save the mesh, what we can do is we can go into object mode, select the mesh, go into the modifiers properties, this icon here, and this will be the armature modifier, the thing that is connecting the armature to the mesh. So we'll just do a copy, and then we'll do an apply on the bottom one. Then back in the scene, click on the armature in object mode, go into pose mode, and now if we do Control A, apply pose as rest pose, you can see that the mesh is restored to what we want it to be. Plus, if we now go into edit mode, the rest pose has indeed been updated. Right? So that's this part of the way there. Now we just need to get rid of this rotation on the armature. So what we can do is, with the cursor in the scene, I can do Control A, and apply rotation, right? And now the rotation has been zeroed out, and the mesh will move away, but that's okay. We can select the mesh, do R to rotate, X to lock axis, 9, 0 to bring it back into place. Now you'll see that the mesh itself has a rotation, but that's okay. We're mostly interested in the rotation on the armature. The mesh will soon be disconnected from this armature, and then we can zero out the rotation on the mesh itself. With the rotation out of the way, we can bring back the meta rig, select it, go into the armature properties, scroll down back to the Uefy Script panel, and now pose meta rig should just give us an instant result. If I hide the character, we can see that the limbs have been matched properly, and now we just need to edit the spine and the heel bones. The meta rig will pose only the limbs from the shoulder to the fingertips and the legs to the toes. Now I can do Alt A to deselect everything, bring back just the armature, and then I will select the meta rig, shift select the armature, then go into edit mode to edit these two objects simultaneously. Now to isolate the spine, I can just go into edit mode, go to box select this side, then edge to hide, box select this side with the B key, then edge to hide, and then I could also get rid of these three bones, select them, edge to hide. We're left with just the spine. Select the meta rig, go into the armature's properties, and then put names up front and also put the meta rig in front. Now I can just select one of these bones, press the L key to select the whole spine, 3 key to go to side view, then I can just do G to grab and just move it into place so the neck matches where it should be. Well, maybe I'm going to have to put this a little bit further back because the bones are not connected in the original armature, and we cannot do this with this spine because Rigify requires a connected spine to operate correctly. But I'm going to put them at the same height and just kind of go to an in-between place between these two bones. These are the bones that I'm talking about, between spine 3 and spine 4. Let's bring the body back for some reference here, and now we just need to adjust these height values for these bones. So I'm going to do the G key to grab Z, lock the axis, bring it roughly back here. Maybe just use the mouse to position it slightly forward, right? Same for this bone. Grab it, put it roughly into an arc kind of way, and select that one, grab there, grab roughly there, grab roughly like so. This might need to be a bit further, but then you also have to adjust these one this one. Alright, now honestly, you're going to have to figure this one out for yourself, but this kind of setup works for me generally speaking. Now you don't want kind of a wavy spine and you want an arc that just goes in one way, so maybe I will adjust this bit just a little bit further like so, and yeah, that works for me. Okay, maybe the head. No, the head's in a head will work where it is. Okay, Alt H to bring back everything, Alt A to deselect everything, go back into edit mode, object mode, and Alt A to deselect everything in object mode. Now I should mention that the meta rig is reusable. So rigify follows a non-destructive process. If you don't like where you place the spine bones, you can reuse the meta rig to adjust them in the final rig, even after you have generated it. So let's do that next. I think we do not need the armature anymore, so let's just put that away. Select the meta rig, scroll down and do generate rig. Okay, with the rig generated, we can hide the meta rig, but don't delete it. We can reuse the meta rig to make adjustments to our final generated rig later on. It's reusable. Okay, now we can, well, let's put this in front. Just scroll up with the rig selected. We could put this in front so we can see what's going on. Then we can select the mesh. Now we need to disconnect it from its original armature, so I'm just going to go into the modifiers tab after selecting the mesh and just apply the old armature, then go into the objects tab and then into relations and disconnect it from the original armature. And now that'll move the body because it had rotations on it, but that's not a problem. With the mesh selected, we can press R, X to lock the x-axis, minus 90 to bring it back into place, and the enter key to finalize everything. Also, while the mesh is selected, just select the mesh and then shift select the rig and then control P, and we can parent it to the rig with armature deform. So now the body is with the new rig and we can move that there, and we can turn off this collection. It's not needed anymore. Alt A to deselect everything, and we can go into pose mode. Now if we were to export this character right now, it'll output the rigify skeleton, which is going to cause issues in Unreal Engine 4. So one last thing we need to do is select the rig, go to the armature tab, and right at the bottom in the Uefy Script panel there are generated rig functions, and we want to build Unreal skeleton. This will build the epic skeleton parallel to the rigify one. So now after running this function, when we export this character, we'll get the epic skeleton and we'll get full compatibility with the UE4 marketplace assets. Now because this character was already weight painted when we imported it, and we ran the pre-process successfully, we can just transfer the weights from the original armature to the new rig. So if I was to grab this, and I could just start animating with it without messing about with weight painting. Although with this auto-generated weights, I'm going to have to spend some time adjusting and updating it in any case, but still it's a nice function to have so you don't just start from zero. Now there will be another video where we explore the functionality of Rigify. It's quite an advanced system, has a lot of options on it. So be sure to subscribe to this channel. For now, let's get this thing into the Unreal Engine. So in object mode, I'm going to select the rig. Okay, first of all, we have to rename the rig to armature before exporting it. And we have to do this for Unreal Engine to properly import it. Now with the mesh selected, I will shift select the rig, so both objects are now selected, and then I could do file, export, FBX, select the directory where I want to output it, select the file name, selected objects, maybe add the tangent space, not really necessary. You have to pick only deformed bones because we only want to output the epic skeleton that the Uefy script built for us, and we do not want to add any bones. So export FBX. Now let's check it out in the engine. Now there are two ways we can import this into the engine. First of all, we can just do import, find the file, open with everything as it is, and the skeleton, without selecting a new skeleton, we can just hit import, and we'll let this finish. And once it has loaded, let's check out the skeleton. We can look into the skeleton tab and see that Rigify did in fact output the epic skeleton. It has the twist bones and the IKs, and it has the root bone, so this character is now capable of root motion. So, well, that's one way. And another way would be to, well, I'm going to delete this character and import it again. Well, I've deleted the character. Now I'm going to import it again. I'm going to select the file, open, but this time I'm going to select the UEM skeleton. Okay, this is just what I called the Unreal Engine mannequin when I rigged it in Blender using Uefy and brought it back into the engine. So basically it's this character that you can see in the background, and with this character skeleton selected, I can do import, and this is going to work because whatever you output from Blender now using Rigify is going to be the epic skeleton. And this time, as you can see, it didn't create a new skeleton for this character, and the import worked. So I'm just going to let this finish loading. And now that it has finished loading, let's load the character up and check its skeleton. Same thing as before, but now you see that the preview mesh is being shown for the Unreal Engine mannequin that we rigged in Blender. And if you go into animations, right, this animation, these are all animations that are rigged onto this character. These are all UE4 marketplace animations. And now in preview mesh, I can just select a new character, and without needing to retarget any more animations, or rather have multiple copies of the same animation for different characters, this character can just reuse whatever was retargeted for the primary skeleton that you're using. Right, so all of these animations are going to work for all of the characters that you bring in. Now, of course, this is true for the original mannequin as well. You can, however, you can't just bring in fused characters and have animations shared with them. You'll need to retarget them, for one. And secondly, we now have this thing rigged in Blender, so you can create new animations and fill any gaps there might be that you can't find online. And of course, all of those new animations that you create will work with all of the characters that have the epic skeleton. Uefy Script is available for sale on my website. It can save you hours of time, especially if you're using fused characters. It can streamline your entire process. It will automatically add IKs, it'll add the root bones, you can automatically pose the character while rigging. It makes Rigify's advanced functionality available to you. So overall, it has quite a few benefits going for it. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be many more. There is a lot of functionality that I haven't covered in this video. So be sure to subscribe to this channel. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.